And good morning, and welcome to another edition of Magic Man in the Morning. I am your host, Sean Grice, aka Magic Man, and I want to welcome everybody to another Friday edition of Magic Man in the Morning. This is number 10, ladies and gentlemen. We've gone through 10 episodes so far, and I'm happy to have my guest, Gerald Glassford. Good morning, Gerald. Happy Cinco de Mayo to you.
Buenos días, señor. ¿Cómo está?
Muy bien, muy bien.
Okay, all right.
All
I'd
right.
be better with the Lakers win up 2-0 heading back to LA, but I'll take 1-1. Uno, uno.
Uno uno. You're right, but you were right at the beginning of this series. You said if you thought they could get a split, you felt pretty confident that going back to LA, they could try and really take a stranglehold on the series. Now, Gerald, um, Golden State really didn't do anything fancy yesterday. It was just a lot of Steph Curry pick and roll, and he made a lot of quick decisions early on, and we just couldn't adjust.
By the way, just to let you know, it's not Diaz, not episode Diaz. It's Diaz y Uno. Remember,
Ooh, that's
yes,
right. You guys filled in for one.
Senor Joe and I did work on it last week for you. Yes, sir. That's
Yes,
correct, sir. Yes,
I
yes,
stand corrected. So
yes.
10 for the Magic Man, 11 overall for the show. That's
That's
wonderful.
correct. Yes, that's
All
good.
right. So,
Much
Gerald,
better.
why do you think the Lakers were not able to adjust to first they decided to trap him on pick and rolls, then they decided to blitz him, and then they decided to hedge. So it seemed like they were confused all over the place, Gerald. It was simple adjustments. What do you think the Lakers need to do differently in game 3?
Well, again, first off, the ESPN gives you this morning the shock and awe headlines. The Lakers are afraid of Steph Curry. I think that's a bunch of baloney. I think he does create certain problems and certain matchup issues, but again, he's been doing that for over 10 years. So let's put that in perspective. The Lakers are not scared of Steph Curry. They're going to pay him special attention. But when Clay Thompson hits 8 out of 11 and looks nothing like the player that he was, that was over a hill and washed up in the Sacramento series, that's a different story. That's the problem right there. Yes, should they spend more time and attention to Steph Curry? I guess so. The Lakers have played Ori. They've already paid enough attention to him and will continue to do so. Where they need to focus on is trying to make sure that whatever it needs to be done on contesting better shots and making sure that they don't have their way with all the other players, Pools and the Thompsons of the world. And if Jermichael Green hits another three pointers, God bless him. But there's a reason he was buried back on the bench. So I'm not convinced he's going to be able to do that over the course of a 7-game series. I do think, though, that Thompson, you cannot go ahead and let him continue to get off. So adjusting the role to maybe going ahead and maybe focusing more on him and Curry to go ahead and put them as the focal point of your defense, I think would probably be best on that. If Poole wins you the series, I still yet can't believe that he's going to do that either because Poole is so inconsistent. He'll get 31 game and 5 the next. I really think that at this point in time, you just got to make things more difficult for both of them. Just get them uncomfortable. Same thing with Ja. Get them out of their comfortable spots, put them more off balance. And if you could do that and still maintain the inside with a revived AD who already is again like after every time he has a bad game, he blames himself. He'll come back. He'll come back a lot stronger in game 3. And I think the Lakers do have a chance to go ahead and pull away game 3 and game 4 and go back to San Francisco up 3-1.
I agree, Gerald. And you're right. We were. So I think some Laker fans were, and I include myself, were maybe a little over optimistic after Game 1 that perhaps they could pull out not as strong an effort, but a strong effort in Game 2 and try and take a 2-0 series lead. But these are the champs for a reason. They're going to come back strong. They made adjustments.
Well, it's
I
just
want to.
so hard to win twice on the road.
So hard.
i- in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's so hard. I mean, the Florida Panthers made it look easy because fortunately they were playing the Toronto Maple Leafs, but uh Gerald is right. It is so difficult to win two games in someone else's barn. It's just very, very difficult. So as we head back to Game Three, Gerald, other than what you mentioned, what do you think Vanderbilt has to do differently? Because Golden State did a good job of creating separation between him and Steph Curry on the pick and rolls, and he was able to take advantage of the space. Do you think he needs to make some individual adjustments, or do you think it's more Ham and the coaching staff?
It's more Ham on the coaching staff. We also got to make sure that when he gets the ball, he's more decisive on what he's going to be able to do with it on the offensive end. It's clear that the game plan is to get him the ball. Like the defense is focusing on the offense, forcing the offense to funnel the ball to him constantly. The thing is, he's got to be able to make better decisions with it, and obviously, his lack of a shooting touch has hurt the Lakers, especially on that inside. He had several shots in the key, which unfortunately not many of them fell. So maybe a thing is he should not find himself in the key as much. Do other things to go ahead and free up other people, maybe more pick and rolls, things of that nature to either get him easier looks at the basket or do something to go ahead and just be able to not have him be as much of a try to be as much of an impact player on the offensive end because it's clear he cannot give you what you needs to give you on the offensive end, but he needs to stay out there as a defensive weapon because he provides so much height as far as that's concerned. So I do want to go ahead and make sure and say, you know what, it's time for him to go ahead and focus more on the defensive end, try to get himself more or less involved in the offense as far as actively shooting, trying to go ahead and get the ball to AD more. Some a little bit more play action from AD will help, but also just again, it's a lot of it's focused on Ham and how he's going to go ahead and restructure the defense and offense on both sides after a terrible game too.
Yeah, it was a terrible game too. Again, Golden State didn't do anything too fancy. They just ran a lot more pick and roll action with Steph Curry. The Lakers trapped, blitzed, hedged, did everything possible. At least Darvin Ham thought so. I mean, we may disagree, but he tried to empty out his bag, and it just wasn't enough. So we'll go back to the drawing board and see what happens in Game Three. Gerald, as we move around the Lakers, there was news yesterday, and we didn't get a chance to touch on it because of the game that Pat Beverly and Russell Westbrook are both clamoring for opportunity to get a ring should the Lakers hoist the Larry O'Brien trophy. It's a little controversial. To be fair, this is a team by team decision. Teams decide individually whether or not they want to reward players who have previously been on a roster that won a championship. My question to you is, if you were in the Lakers ownership right now, would you offer Russell Westbrook
Okay, really,
and
we shouldn't even be having this conversation because we're still 11 games away from winning a championship. So it's really something that I don't even
it's
really
been
want to
out
put
there
much.
though.
Yeah, I know it's been out there. I saw the article, but it's really not something I really want to even worry about or focus in on because, again, we have to get to that point before we even worry about that. If you're a class organization, you offer it, and if you're just, going by the motions, going by the business, you just forget about them and move on and, let them whine and moan and be, that's fine. But if you really want to go out of your way and show yourself as a class organization, fine, so be it. But again, this is something that we shouldn't even, you and Joe spent some time on it, and that's time that we don't even need to spend on it. We just really need to focus in on the here and now. I couldn't care less about Pat Beverly. I couldn't care less about Russell Westbrook. They were not a help to the Lakers. You see that the Lakers are addition by subtraction, and they're much better without those two individuals on the team. I wish them all the best, wish them good luck in the rest of their careers, but I'm so glad that they're off the team. Joe called it with Beverly. I called it from day one on Westbrook. that the Lakers were better off without them. And you know what? They are. And I could care less really whether they want a ring or not, or whether the Lakers give a ring or not to them. Because again, right now it's all about getting to that point first. That's what I'm more concerned about at this point in time.
All right. Well,
Alex says Beverly sent us Mamba, but that hasn't been very much. So, yeah, Mamba isn't even playing, and he's actually been out the past couple games. He hasn't even been eligible. So, Alex, unfortunately, Beverly hasn't. The return on Beverly hasn't been much at all right now to speak of.
well, in saying that, Gerald, though, the reason, partly why I brought it up was because we know Darvin Ham has been enamored all year with this three guard lineup. And the majority of the minutes played before the trade deadline with that three guard lineup were Russell Westbrook, Pat Beverly, and Dennis Schroeder. So you've had two players substituted out. You've inserted Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell. We saw it pay dividends in the first round and in the play-in with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Game one was a bit of a double-edged sword, Gerald. We got a little bit out of D'Lo and we got a little bit out of Reeves. It just wasn't at the same time.
Yeah,
So my
and
question to you
I'm sorry.
is, do you think that perhaps Troy Brown Jr. plays a bigger role in this three-guard lineup in games
I,
3 and 4?
I think again, when it comes to three guard lineup, you got to have three guards that are able to go ahead and pop from three, like the
They
Golden
can
State
shoot,
Warriors.
yeah.
Yeah, the Lakers don't have that. So I would not try to go ahead and match that with Troy Brown Jr. It's apparent and clear after two games. He can't get through screens. He's been
Mm-mm.
very poor. Both Van Gundys have called him out on that. It's especially on the first game where he just can't get through screens. He's not doing very well. He gives you nothing on the offensive end. Again, I know that fried chicken, as you're scratching away on the microphone there. I'm just telling you right now, fried chicken said a long time ago, give Lonnie Walker a shot. TBJ isn't giving you much. If TBJ doesn't give you much, and we see what we got from Malik Beasley right now, which is absolutely nothing, try Lonnie Walker. He's a terrible defender, but then again, TBJ is not helping you much either. At least he might be able to give you something on the offensive end. So if you go to a three guard lineup, you might as well try with that just to see how it works. Because again, he's played well in garbage time now in a couple games for the Lakers. It's something where I think you need to look at it. Joe's saying, don't change the boat, don't rock the boat. I'm sorry. When you're playing every other game, the Lakers are fatigued. The Lakers, I don't care what Joe says. As much as I love him, yeah, he's all wrong, dead wrong on fatigue. It's like Joe is like putting the fatigue factor that almost every human would be going through right now, and he's just trying to disregard that. Unfortunately, the Lakers are a tired team. Every single playing every other day, especially with two players over the age of 30. You've got to worry about it, especially playing so many minutes. You've got to put that factor in there. The Lakers have to find some minutes for some reserves to play, and those reserves have to start producing. And if TBJ can't do it, if Beasley can't do it, put someone who might. Just give them a shot. At this point, if you're Ham, you have to be open to trying new things. When in Gabriel, obviously we saw, on yesterday's game, he came in there, poor kid. He's trying, but unfortunately, both games he's given you absolutely nothing, and it's been actually a minus in both games so far. Feel bad for the kid, but you get what you get. I told you, when you've been cut by 6 teams, you've got a guy that's playing so hard, playing it, but he should be a 13th or 14th guy in your team, and you make him out to be the backup center. You're really in trouble. Bomba has given you absolutely less than zero for this team, which is absolutely not what you needed. It's almost like having Beverly out there without the mouth. So, I mean, that's the only thing, because Mamba is not giving you anything at all as far as the contribution is concerned, like Beverly did at times for us. So it's tough right now. It is really tough. The Lakers have to find someone else besides Hashimura and Schroeder to help them. Otherwise, the Lakers are really in a lot of trouble as far as trying to find someone out there that can give AD and LeBron a little bit more rest. If you can get them down to 38 to 40 minutes, maybe 38. If you can get them 38 instead of 43 for AD, that's a world of good. That extra 5 minutes does so much more.
100% it does so much more. And on the
Yeah, we know Raul Lonnie Walker's benched a long time ago, absolutely, and he's been only getting minutes right in garbage time. I'm just saying at this point in time, Troy Brown Jr. has not been the answer. Obviously, we saw with Malik Beasley, he's not been the answer. You got to try something at this point in
and
time because the Lakers need all the help we can get.
absolutely, Gerald. And I stress, I really don't see Mobamba getting any playing time, really.
Well, he's a
Uh,
terrible defender,
for yeah, for a
LW. Yeah,
couple
Lonnie Walker's a
reasons, yeah.
terrible defender, absolutely terrible defender. That's why he lost his position. He's very slight for his build. He's got a very slight build for his, his
Very
physique.
easy to move them off a
Yeah,
spot and get
yeah.
your own.
But the guy can drive and get buckets. He may be sketchy from the outside as far as streaky from that end, but he can go to the basket. He can get fouls. That's what he can do best. And that's something that the Lakers need to do because the Lakers need to go ahead and get more points in the paint after they did a horrible job of that yesterday. And they did a horrible job of getting the line, something that they did very well in game one, and they need to revert back to that. And, just even if he gives you some minutes that you couldn't get from TBJ or Beasley, isn't that what you're asking for at this point?
Yes, yes, that's all. That's all. The problem the Lakers have in it when we get into the weeds here is that other than AD, they have really no other bigs that you can play against the Warriors shooters or even their non-shooters. Even that's a
No.
struggle
Just try
for
putting
Wendy and
Bamba out
Gabriel.
there.
Yeah, yeah, that seems like the only alternative at this point. And against the non-shooters, that might work. And if it doesn't, well, you tried something. Same thing with Wenyan. But as Gerald has said before, when the Warriors or really any team that can bomb goes small, it's difficult for the Lakers to match that because other than AD, you don't have another big who can give you significant production or even limited production against a team's secondary bigs. It's that's the issue there. Hopefully AD just comes back with a stronger game and that becomes less of an issue. But as the series goes on, Gerald has said that the more the Warriors go small, the more emphasis there is on the Lakers to try and find somebody who can play other than Anthony Davis.
You just got to find somebody that can give you some minutes at this point in time because the Lakers again are a tired team. Again, I know what Joe says, but the eyes are right there. You can see clearly the Lakers, especially when it comes to AD and LeBron. You saw AD had no gas in the tank right from the get-go, playing every other day. It's really hard for them to do at this point in time. I really think that they need to go ahead and find any way that they can to get some productive minutes off the bench, not named Rui and not named Dennis Schroeder, even though Dennis Schroeder was horrible in game two. You got to try and do what you can to go ahead and buy some minutes for them. And I think it will do a world of good. I think the Lakers will come back strong in game three. I think they'll go ahead and be very motivated to go ahead and take game three. I know that I was listening to the Hoop Collective podcast. I do agree with them, and Game 4 will be crucial for the series. I think that's always crucial for any series as far as this turns. So that's not really a stretch. But
No.
if you could buy any time for the Lakers to go ahead and get some rest for LeBron and AD while still maintaining a lead, I think that's really a win for the Lakers right there.
Yes, I agree, Gerald. I agree. If they're able to find any semblance of that,
And
even
Troy, Alex, Alex, Troy needs to get around those screens. He's not getting around those screens. And one thing that they do for those shooters is they use a lot of screens and ball action. And Troy is just not doing it at this time. He's getting himself caught time in and time out on those screens. And he's not chasing over. He's trying to go under, and it's just not working out right now. He needs to go ahead and maybe I don't know if at this point in time he's not the guy I would bring now. I had when he was hot from the outside about a month ago. He was the guy you needed to bring in because of how well he was playing. He is not playing well. He's not shooting well at this point in time. So you got to go ahead and maybe look different options because he was supposed to be a good defender. But right now, as a man defender, he's pretty good. But running around those screens is just really hard for him to do at this point in time.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and for everyone out there, and there may still be about 5 or 6 of you calling for maybe Malik Beasley to get some minutes, he would look absolutely lost out there, and they would make him look very silly.
Well,
And
if he's out there, he better hit shots. As simple as
that's
that.
the only reason he would be out there is you need to hit shots. Um, oh, we're just going to. I don't think so, but we'll move on. Gerald, let me ask you as we move on to tonight's action. We
Hmm.
find that the Denver Nuggets are in the land of the rising sun, and they're playing host to. Sorry, they're on the road for this with the Suns. There's been 3 games off, Gerald. It feels like this series has been just dragging on for weeks rather than just a
Well,
few days.
it's the way that the NBA
Mm.
spaces everything out, and it's cramped for one or two series playing every other day, and then the other series are like, okay, you get like 5 days off in between your games. So it's really that's the way they want to do it. It's made for TV. Sovereign, props to you, my friend. I just dropped the kids off myself, so I know how it is. It's really too early for me too, but I know on Cinco de Mayo, my good friend needed a hand on here, so yeah, definitely glad to do that. He's grinding away on the keyboard right there, as I can hear him right now, as only
I
he
should
can
have put.
do. Well, are you on mute? Are you on mute back? Okay. So again, Raul says if that was the scenarios, the Lakers have no backup bench players to help the Lakers team. Lakers are done. No, not necessarily the Lakers are done. That's what the role again. We need to focus on what is positive here, and what is positive is that the Lakers do have, a chance to go and get this done in LA the next 2 games. The thing is, it just if they can find someone out or maybe the collection of Wenyan Gabriel and whoever to become that eighth individual that gives you consistent minutes that won't let your team down as far as in the plus minus category while they're in there. That's all you need. Just someone to buy you enough time to go ahead and get things done. It's just not working right now. When we saw at the beginning of that second quarter, AD sat down immediately, the Lakers gave up the lead immediately. And that's something you cannot do each and every time out. You have to give AD a little bit more rest. If you can find a way to do that, maybe change it up as far as bringing someone in there, maybe get just some fresh blood with Lonnie Walker in there just to maybe throw them off on the other side, seeing how that works for 5 minutes, giving that a try, just doing something to change things up. I would even, if you want a Malik Beasley, you want to go ahead and you're really rooting for him to go ahead and get back in, that's fine. Go ahead, put him in, give him a shot. But TBJ has not been the answer so far. If you can find a fix for him, then I think the Lakers could go ahead and have a great chance of winning games 3 and 4.
Absolutely, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah,
Hmm.
there's no question about that. I think it's a issue, but it's not a big issue. It's not at the
Hmm.
top of the list of what the Lakers have going wrong with them right now. But it
Hmm.
is an issue. But like you said, Gerald, it can be mitigated just by playing very well and making adjustments. You know what, Raul? Not to go into a deep dive about it, but I've complained uh, inherently mercilessly about the refereeing this year. Overall, it's just been very bad. Yesterday was just really bad call after bad call. I really don't think Eric Lewis should be reffing any Lakers or Celtics game, but the NBA put him on the sheet for some reason. He should not be reffing either one of those two teams. I don't even think he should be reffing in the playoffs, to be perfectly honest with you. But here we are. The Lakers just have to stop worrying about the guys in the zebra shirts with the whistles and start just focusing on what they can do to get back to the free throw line, because that was a huge issue. They weren't attacking the paint. They were too passive. They just decided that again, we talked about this during playback, and Joe had brought it up around the 9 minute mark in the third quarter. He said that the Lakers had basically decided that a split was good enough, and
Well, I guess so. Absolutely. So,
yeah,
I mean,
and they just stopped playing. I mean, that was the issue. There's no way unless you stop playing, the team's going to run you off the court by 20, 25, or 35 points. Like Gerald had observed the previous night, the Sixers stopped playing. That's why they lost by 30. And then the Lakers stopped playing, and then they started playing a little bit halfway through the fourth, and it didn't look as bad. But
Well, again, Raul, I mean, every fan base talks about the refs doing something wrong, bad calls. I mean, I was on it. The best part about it is I was on the after the awesome game 6 that we had last week. I was on the Memphis Grizzlies board for about, I guess, an hour after that game ended. I looked at over 300 different comments on that message board, and like half of them were saying how much they were robbed by the refs and whatnot. Everybody gets robbed by the refs. It's those egregious calls like we got in, Boston. Those are the ones that are really wrong. It wasn't the refs last night. I mean, there should have been some calls in the Lakers when they got in the lane. There were some fouls, yeah. But would that have made a difference in a 30-point game? No, that's not the difference. When it's a close game and there's a missed call, that's one thing. But yesterday, the Lakers lost because they just didn't have the energy, and Golden State really needed a desperation, and they really, they knew they had to have this game 2 in order to stay in the series. So that wasn't the refs last night. It was actually just the Lakers just not having that energy to win the game, and that's something that they need to refocus on and get in game 3, which I think they will.
yes, I agree. They will too.
Absolutely, Lakers for life, no matter what. Absolutely.
Gerald, as we mosey along here, closing up the show, I just wanted to get your thoughts again on Game 3 tonight between the Denver Nuggets and the Phoenix Suns. Gerald, if Phoenix wins going away, will that change your mind at all about the way you see this series going?
You know what? Alex has a good point. You have to be disciplined and follow your defensive plan for 48 minutes. Very well said. Very well said, Alex. I really like that. That was very well said. I just think right now this is a desperation time for Phoenix. We talk about desperation time for Golden State, which was last night. This is desperation for Phoenix right now. And without Chris Paul, I'm not sure that's a bad thing, because what Chris Paul you're going to get at this point in time. He's been in and out because of his advanced age. He is not aged as well as LeBron, even though LeBron, he's had his weak points, but this is nowhere near to what we're seeing with Chris Paul. Chris Paul, you never know from game to game which Chris Paul you're going to get, but you're not getting Chris Paul because he has that groin injury right now. So again, you have Booker and you have Durant. These guys are supposed to go off for 40, both of them at the same time. And when they're only getting 25 points apiece or whatnot, that's not going to get it done. You're heavily reliant on those two guys to produce and produce big, to go ahead and pull you out of any situation. And they haven't yet to do so in this series. Denver, which is the reason why I am very concerned about Denver if the Lakers move on. I am very concerned about Denver because they match up very well with any of the wings. That includes Boston. They match up well with them. They match up well with the Lakers, and they match up well with Phoenix. And that's what concerns me, is that you have the situation where you have a team in Denver that could just really provide size, length, and they have 7 quality players that they can bring in there that can actually get the job done. So just like the Lakers can. So right now, it just seems to me that if the situation I think right now is with Denver, all they need to do is split. If they split, they've got that series done. And if if they win tonight, it's all over. It's absolutely all over.
Yeah, you wouldn't give the Suns a snowball's chance, and you know what? If they were
No,
down 0-3,
no.
despite the talent, yeah.
No,
I
the
mean,
odds say it is. The odds say it
well,
is.
no one's ever done it. No one's
Yeah,
ever done it. There are 13 teams who've come back from 3-1, but nobody's come back from 0-3.
yeah.
Now 2 teams have come back from 0-3 to force a game 7, but they didn't end up winning the series either. So, Gerald, I happen to think that the numbers say that that's going to be eventually dispelled as well. Maybe not this year, but I think in the future, just the probabilities just exist that eventually somebody down 0-3 will come back. I was a friend of mine. I was reminded of well, before the Knights came into existence, your LA Kings, who were down 0-3 to the San Jose Sharks
Yeah.
and managed to win 4 straight and go on to win the Stanley Cup. So
I will say not every game is rigged, but if you're an Alabama baseball player, that may be a different story.
that's
So,
bad. That's a really
yeah.
bad story, Gerald. Do you have any
Uh,
further thoughts on that one? Did you
just
kind of see this?
somebody's got the payola. That's simple as that. It's pretty cut and dry. You fire a coach for those allegations. You better be pretty valid. And in today's age where you can just bet right off your phone, it can be pretty valid. And it's no longer the days of Pete Rose. It's the days where you can go ahead and do that, pretty easily. I'm sure it's done on a more wide basis than you and I actually have any idea that there is, because it's so easy to use someone else's login and do some things there and miss a shot and things of that nature. So I think that sports betting is really something that's out there and possibly being influenced in games and sports all across the country, but to the extent of doing it for an NBA game yet, no, I don't think that's the case right now. College sports, you never know.
You
Yeah,
never
as we
know.
saw, as we see in Alabama baseball.
And we welcome in our good friend, colleague, and great analyst for the Lakers fast break community, LakerNic. LakerNic, welcome to MagicMan in the Morning, man.
Hey, MagicMan. Hey, Gerald. Happy Cinco de Mayo. How's everybody doing?
Happy
Very
Cinco de
well.
Yes, happy Cinco de Mayo to you, my friend, as well.
Yeah, I'm a bit tardy today, this morning, MagicMan, but it's good to be here, and it's good to see you, Gerald.
You
Absolutely,
know what, Nick?
you as well.
I just appreciate you and Gerald getting up in the morning and
You only got me
being
for a little while longer, my friend. I'm
yeah.
on fumes.
All right, okay. But Nick, we were just discussing some afterthoughts about Game 2 with the Lakers and Warriors and what adjustments we think needs to be made, and then we had a brief discussion on the Nuggets and Suns series. Do you have anything to add to either one of those topics? Did you see anything last night from the Lakers game that you'd like to see adjustments made, or maybe actually a change?
Yeah, Sean, and I think aside from whatever X's and O's or tactics like Cam could modify for the next game, on my end, what I saw with my own eyes was just a general kind of fatigue or lack of effort. I'm not too sure if it was one or both of those things that was happening last night, but I don't know. It was definitely, in some sense, upsetting and a bit saddening that by I think the second quarter, at least myself, I felt that there was no chance that we were going to win that game, and it's unfortunate, but that's how the game panned out.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, Nick. Again, you and I both saw after as soon as that start of that second quarter was really bad. But I really think that that the Lakers refocus, find a way to buy some time for AD to get some rest. I really think that you'll see the dividends on that in Game 3, and I think it'll come down to an important Game 4 matchup on Monday.
I agree with you, Gerald. At the same time, though, you would expect that the Warriors would, at this point, be more tired than the Lakers. Obviously, they don't have a 38-year-old, going on 39-year-old superstar with LeBron James, who, is performing better than he probably should at this point in his career. That said, the Warriors do have, a 35-year-old Curry. Clay Thompson, I think, is like 34, 33, not far behind and riddled with injuries. Draymond Green is also in his 30s. And AD, yeah, he's 30 this year, but I mean, I would expect a little bit more energy from him. I know that he was very active on the rebounds last game. And this game, it just wasn't there. So let's hope they rest up today, because they're playing in like a little over 24 hours.
We'll see what happens. Mr. Sean, you there, my friend? Everything okay?
Yeah, everything's good. Everything's good. Just trying to coordinate between the chat and our panel. Yeah, those are some good tidbits from LakerNic. LakerNic, I had another question for you. Um, what adjustments do you think that the defense, particularly on the pick and roll, should make?
Yeah, Sean. I think in general, I think it just goes back to kind of my overall comment about effort. I didn't see this same hustle in, running, trying to break screens from the defensive side. I know that we were all on playback last night, and we all know and understand that D'Angelo Russell is unfortunately a minus on defense, but I just saw a couple possessions where he was completely out of it. It was as if he was not even trying, and he might as well have been on the sidelines. I was actually surprised that he was putting that effort out there, especially against the team that ended up dumping them after like 2 or 3 months. So actually, I think it just comes down to effort because if we all recall, what was it, maybe a week and a half ago when um, the Lakers lost in Memphis, none of us, including Joe Soro, were upset about that. And we weren't upset because we did see genuine effort from the Lakers side.
It was
We
the
thought
game
that.
two that bothered me.
Right, right. So I think as long as we see effort on both ends of the floor, we can't fault this team. But what we saw last night was a team effectively give up after the first quarter.
Yes, that's I would say that's 99% true. And to answer your question, Nick, I would think it was equally 50-50 from the former and the latter, with the energy and effort as it stands. I mean, Gerald's right. Like, don't tell me, and Joe and others have made this assertion that, well, it's fatigue. Well, don't tell me you're fatigued. That's, you're a high performance athlete. You've had a day off to recover. You need to go. This is your job. This is what you get paid for. Nobody ever punches into work and says, yeah, you know what? You know what, Gerald? I'm really tired today. I can only give you 5 hours
You
of
know what?
effort out of the
I
8.
disagree with you there. These guys are playing at such a high level. It's getting very physical here in the playoffs. It is a different mentality. I don't sound like a mini Joe to me, my friend, because I disagree with you on that. I think, the human condition and the way human body is set up, you could only give out so much for so long. So don't give me that mini Joe stuff, my friend. If we were out there busting our ass, like we did in game one, we've been playing back to back for a while. Yeah, we had 4 days off previously, but still, for AD, you got to remember this is the longest consecutive games he's played in some time. They showed it on the graphic during the game that he's played what he's missed 44% or some type of really big number over the course of the year since they won the championship of how many games he's missed, and that this period of time, consecutive games, because remember he didn't skip that back to back. This is the most games he's played consecutively for quite some time. So I just think right now that playing him 44 minutes, each and every time out, that's a recipe for disaster because I just don't think not many players, not many humans on this planet can consistently play at a high level that many minutes each and every other day. It's just not possible.
Gerald, and I was just kind of laughing to myself when you were telling Sean that he's a mini Joe.
Yeah, it's like a Joe echoing Joe, and it's like,
Yeah.
come on, Sean, come on, come
In
on.
defense, in defense of Sean, Gerald, I'll only say that Sean could probably not understand this because he always has energy.
Well, he's
You
better
know,
looking than Joe. He's a more handsome guy than Joe. So there you go.
like Sean is all motor and
Especially with the
he's
Lakers.
nonstop.
That's true. That's true. You gotta start really raging though, Sean. If you really
Yeah.
want to do the Joe, you have to start really raging.
The problem is I don't have as much bass in my voice as that man
Yeah,
does.
that's true.
When he opens up his mouth, the ground can shake. He sounds like Paul Bunyan.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but there you go, Paul Bunyan. There you go. Chop down some trees. Absolutely. So
Actually, Zinger brought up a really good point, Gerald. She said that over the past 8 games, Austin Reeves has traveled 70 miles. So we maybe need to give him the anthem of "I've been everywhere, man," because he's been everywhere on the
but
court.
but he's 24.
Court.
Now
He's got
I will
the
give you
leg. Yeah.
I will give you Austin Reeves when he's 20, when you're 24. That's a different thing because I understand that. When I was younger, I was able to go ahead and run 7 to 10 miles, every day or every other day. I actually had jobs here in Vegas when I first came to Vegas, and I was working in the early 2000s where I did run that many miles in a given day because of the fact that's what the job needed me to do. But I wasn't needing to go ahead and do full sprints if for the entire 48-minute period of time or 44 out of 48 minutes. Asking a 31-year-old player to do that after being banged on the inside constantly by either Draymond Green, Jermichael Green, or Kevon Looney, that's kind of tough after you just got a series where Jaren Jackson was just all over you at the Xavier Tillman side and a David Roddy hitting you underneath and stuff like that going on. So, I really want to give AD some credit for and think that he's going to rebound. But when it comes to Austin, yeah, Austin's 24. He's a kid, still just getting started. Should have bundles of energy. I think when it comes to D'Angelo, we've always talked about his defense, anyways. And the fact that he's not always there consistently over the course of a game. The thing is, though, with Dennis Schroeder, I think is a key because he does get through the screens well when he's playing well. We saw in game one what he can do. I just think that, Dennis Schroeder, if he's playing well, is such a great key to this team's success.
Yes, he is. He's kind of the oil in the engine, so to speak. When the oil is replaced and it's not thick, and he plays well, Joe. But sometimes when he doesn't play well, we've talked about this before. We get those okay games and those bad games. Sometimes he can gum up the works.
Yeah, that's for sure. And it was a team collective poor effort on Thursday. We did have a good effort from LeBron that first half, but it was
And we're rooting for Austin. Like this
yeah.
this panel here, like we were the ones who were saying, eventually he needs to start over Beasley. Eventually. Now we didn't think it'd be this soon, but hats off to Austin.
Yeah.
He's performed above expectations, but he set a standard for himself, everyone. And he holds himself up to that same standard. So I'm
Go ahead, Nick.
expecting the kid to bounce
Yeah.
back really well. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna actually bounce off what you, Gerald, and Sean were saying. I completely agree with Austin Reeves. In fact, Sean, you might recall that I think it was last week in one of the snack packs with Jamie Sweet. I think we all concurred that he was probably the X factor for this series, and he needed to be, good, good as meaning the standard that he has set for himself, as you were discussing. And he just simply hasn't been that this season so far, or this series so far. And so we can't afford to lose in LA. I don't think we should lose even one game. I don't think we could split the LA games with the Warriors. Preferably, this ends in 6 games. But yeah, we just really need to come out tomorrow and win.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. I think if we take these 2 games, I think it just puts the Golden State Warriors back on the hot seat, and I think it really will give the Lakers confidence. I mean, obviously, winning does so much for your confidence, does so much more for your drive, your energy, the whole 9 yards. And I really think that if the Lakers can go ahead and pull out games 3 and game 4, that's really going to do a number on Golden State and put a lot in their heads. Unlike what they say, okay, well, we've won championships at Golden State, and this is not going to bother us. It didn't bother us in the Sacramento series. Well, you know what? With if the Lakers are leading 3 games to 1 heading back to San Francisco, and the Lakers only needing 1 game of the next 3, I think that's going to put a lot into the heads of Golden State as they head back to San Francisco.
That would be a great recipe for a series victory. Got to take it one game at a time. I think the main difference I want to see tomorrow night, Gerald, is I want them on Curry right away, like they were in game 1. It just seemed like he had way too much space, and like you said, he was a quarterback in the pocket that was able to have time and was able to see everything. So if you can really clamp him down early and make him like Jared Vanderbilt got him into bad decision making. He got him
Just put him
to
off
yeah,
balance. That's all you have
yeah,
to do.
and that's what happened, right? And a lot of his turnovers were because he only was able to see on one side of the court.
The games that we've lost against Curry and to Ja was when both of those players found their comfort zones and found their comfort spots on the floor. We have to just make it uncomfortable for both of them to make off balance shots, to make sure that they're put in places where they're not comfortable. And if they can do that and slow them down and slow Curry down even a little and work on the other guys, make sure Thompson doesn't hit 8 threes on you or Poole doesn't hit 6 threes on you, then I think that puts the Lakers in a lot better position. I know Zangerstein still says play Troy. At this point, if he's not able to fight through the screens, because you would think on paper, Nick and Sean, that Troy would be a great person for this series because of his height, for what he can do. He can play heads up on guards, but fighting through these screens has been a real issue in this series. And if you're doing that, get someone else in there who might be able to do a little bit better.
Yeah, Gerald. In fact, actually, before you mentioned Troy Brown Jr., I was about to bring him up, just because I did have a query for the panel where, even just maybe 3 weeks ago, we were all in general terms, praising Troy Brown Jr., saying that the Lakers could even should try their best to try to retain him or see if he could come back next season. Because he was playing, in the minutes that he did get, he was, I think, being, generally effective. And
Well,
there was,
well, I will
yeah, I
say
don't know
this.
if there was,
Well, I was just going to say this. My apologies, this. I just wanted to say real quick. You notice his
Mhm.
decline meant Rui's incline.
Right, right, right. And I was about to like actually, yeah, Gerald, you hit it right on the head where, yeah, Rui has been obviously increasing his performances in each and every game that he's played. Rui has been generally consistent, and Troy Brown has not. And it's just interesting to see how Troy Brown Jr.'s game declined pretty significantly in less than a month. I don't know what that's due to.
I don't know what that's due to either, but Zangerstein, I don't think they're going to trust Max Christie to go ahead and be, a rookie. As much as I would like to give it a try at this point, I think that, maybe the small build of Lonnie Walker, the four, maybe to this point in time, even though he's a detriment on the defensive end normally, maybe that's to his advantage because he might be able to get through screens better, Nick and Sean. I just think that you might want to give him a try. And if he shoots as well as he's been doing, as he's been doing in garbage time, and he shoots that well during the stretch, he might be the next guy that you might find off the bench that can help you. I mean, I,
Yeah.
I have not been a proponent of Lonnie Walker all season long, but maybe some things that he can give you this time around, Nick, that might be working out for you.
Yeah, and actually, the other guy that I was going to bring up, and maybe he has already been discussed on this episode, but I guess we're all kind of scrapping Malik Beasley. Is that correct?
Yes, for the most part in this series, I think he's relatively ineffective unless you're putting him up against their non-shooting lineup. I think if you put shooters and ask Beasley to defend, it won't go over very well. He really had problems with Luke Kennard and Desmond Bain in the first series with the Grizzlies. Nick, in the first like 3-4 games where he played minutes, I just don't see him being very effective.
Yeah, I see Alex. He was commenting about Beasley, and yeah, Alex, I think just as Beasley's defensive deficiencies is probably going to keep him sidelined for the majority of the season or
Well,
the series, really.
and absolutely, and if that's kind of the line of demarcation that the Lakers are going to have, then Max Christie would get minutes more than Lonnie Walker would. Max Christie is a better defender than Lonnie Walker.
I think he
Um,
should have gotten more of a look though in February, March to get more prepared. But right now, I think a fairly untested rookie is not going to get much time from Darvin Ham.
I don't think so. I wouldn't want to put him in that position, Gerald. A lack of playing time with the group. And you said, this is still a rookie. So I think there's some real problems there giving him significant minutes against this team.
He had a
But if
stretch where he was playing. He was part of the rotation as a ninth guy, eighth, ninth guy coming off the bench. But then you just halted it. You stopped it right there, right around the trade deadline. No more Max Christie. And that's the problem. A kid like that needed all the time he could get so that you might think he could be a contributor coming on for as that eighth guy. But right now, he hasn't gotten any time in February or March. And it's just like Tristan Thompson. Anybody who's still supporting Tristan Thompson, you saw what you got last night. This is what you're going to get from him because the guy has not played in over a calendar year. So, you can't expect him to give you anything. And the same thing with Christie. He has been in the G League for most of the past couple months. So Nick and Sean, I just don't think it'd be reasonable to expect anything. Now, do I think his style of play would fit best? I agree with Zangerstein. Yes, it would. But the experience factor at this level, the playoffs, it's really hard for him to play. It's not like THT in the bubble where you were playing him some minutes because you could afford it because the Lakers were doing so well. I just think that this point in time, playing Max Christie is something that I don't think Darvin Ham will risk.
Gerald, playing Max Christie significant minutes in this series or in these playoffs is malpractice. It's the equivalent of feeding, I don't know, a lamb to the wolves. I mean, you just can't do that. The kid is, super young. I mean, super, inexperienced. I think he's talented and he was obviously drafted for a reason, but, to give him this responsibility at this stage in his career is unwise.
You should have played him in February and March if you were going to do that.
It is, but I like he fits the physical profile of this team and the way they want to play defense, and particularly against the Warriors. He's a little smaller than Jared Vanderbilt. It's got similar length,
About
similar
6'7".
to Austin Reeves. Yeah, but like Gerald was saying, if he had maybe like 250, 300 minutes with this team and he was shooting over 35% from three, then I would say, yeah, he needs to get some serious minutes. But like Gerald was saying, this is the business of basketball. The Lakers made some moves at the trade deadline, and unfortunately, Max Christie's development and playing time was a casualty here.
I mean, great comments. Just big shout out to the comments with Z, Alex, Raul, Terrence, Sovereign. So many great people there. Just cannot thank you enough for your great comments. Indeed, absolutely.
We have the best chat room going, Gerald. It's
Yep.
bar none. It's the best, and I'm not just saying that. Me and Gerald watch and scout our competition, and no one holds a candle to you guys. You come prepared. You're polite. Your analysis is spot on. You're funny. You guys make me laugh. I love having a good time with all of you, and just appreciate the support.
Well, go ahead, get some Nick. Go ahead, get Nick in here, man. I'm doing all the talking.
Yeah, Nick.
I don't
want
to be. I don't be Laker Tom on this thing, man.
Let's show some love for our chat room, man.
Yeah, for sure. The chat room. I mean, ever since I started watching the Lakers Fast Break, it's been consistently great. And like you, Sean, I had checked out like other Laker channels, but here are knowledgeable, but they're also funny, and humor makes life worthwhile.
Yeah, 100%. Language is laughter of the soul. Pablo Neruda.
You're quoting poets now, Sean.
Not bad, right, Nick? Not bad.
Very intellectual.
I appreciate that. So we're going to end MagicMan on a high note.
I wonder if Joe would actually know any kind of poetry.
Roses are red, violets are blue.
You better shut up or I'm going to hit you.
Oh, the poet laureate of Temecula, Joe Sorrell. So with that, everyone, this was a fantastic MagicMan in the morning. I want to thank everybody. Sovereign, Zanger, Alex, Raul, Jupow, Daniel, everybody. I didn't see Blue or PMC today, so I'm sure they're around.
They're probably working or sleeping.
Yes, I would guess PMC is sleeping and Blue is watching.
The team replay, Sean. The team replay.
Yes,
Yes,
hashtag
yeah,
team
they'll catch
replay.
it on the
He is the
replay.
captain of it. So yes.
Joe punching the air. That's funny, Sovereign. So with that, we just want to thank you again for a wonderful Magic Man in the morning. A happy Cinco de Mayo to everybody out there. Game 3 is tomorrow.
Where's your hat though, Sean? Where's your all the props for Cinco de Mayo and all that?
Yeah, you know what, Nick? I didn't have any. I was talking
Before
on.
we go though, I want to put a bet to you guys. Okay.
All right.
Okay. If the Lakers win the series, the Magic Man in the morning afterwards, we will all eat a breakfast burrito on the air because I love breakfast burritos. I want any excuse to go ahead and eat them. We will eat a breakfast burrito on the air. Absolutely.
You got a deal.
Yeah, that's good. See, that's something we can do. Breakfast burritos. We're going to be eating them. If the Lakers win, I might actually eat one anyways here at beforehand. But you know what? I will eat one on the air if the Lakers win this series against Golden State. Guaranteed on the air. Absolutely. So there you go.
Oh, thank you so much, Gerald. There's a great restaurant about a block and a half from my house that serves them. I haven't been able to eat them for the past year or so because I had an ex who was very adamant about my weight and not wanting me to go out and have a treat like that. So now I get to enjoy it.
Okay, well there you go. Absolutely. So looking forward to, my friend. Looking forward to eating that breakfast burrito.
All right.
Got the best in town here at Roberto's Taco Shops, which are in several locations around the city. They make the best. I've been here since '95, and I found no better than them.
Roberto's, why don't you sponsor Gerald's Pop Culture Cosmos or Lakers Fast Break? He's giving you free advertising on Magic Man in the morning. You can't buy advertising like that.
Well, let's ask Nick. Nick, from where are you at? Is there any good spots near you, my friend?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's definitely like holes in the walls and this and that, but I could always, cook something up and make something homemade. I think that, there's just like a variety of different spots here, but yeah, I do need to check out those spots in Las Vegas, Gerald. I know that you've been adamant about promoting them, and hopefully they sponsor the LFB.
Well, Alex, everybody wants Joe to rant. My gosh, all the time. He was there last night. He didn't rant too much unless it went. He did rant on something. What did he rant on? I forget. Nick, you watched the show?
Well, he did rant on playback, and people are missing out if they're not on playback.
Yes.
Yeah,
He
he did rant on playback.
Yes.
On very sensitive issues. Let's put it that way.
No, I think he ran it on the referees.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did
ran
rant
on the referees, Alex.
Yes,
So,
he did.
That was last night. So check that out on YouTube. I think you were there last night on YouTube, Alex. And then, but playback.tv, he is much more apt to rant each and every time out because he just gets pissed off at something on playback. And he can curse there really easily.
Like Joe being irritated is like a fart in the wind. It's just.
That it is. That's so true. That's so true.
And with that, we'll end Magic Man in the morning on a high note. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And we'll be back with more snack packs, more Lakers weekend, more post game. And please join us on the Lakers Fast Break Network.
Everyone have a blessed Cinco de Mayo and a great weekend. Go Lakers.
Go Lakers.